Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Omar Abu Ammar, and welcome to the Way of Thinking video session. I intended to roll out this series of lectures earlier, but I just wanted to apologize for the delay because I couldn't get myself to sit down and to record the video sessions for multiple reasons. The major of which is and still is because I'm grappling with cold and coughing and so on. So you shouldn't be surprised when I you shouldn't be surprised if I suddenly start coughing in the midst of the video, and I will try my best not to. So welcome to the course, and I hope you'll be patient with me as we go through the video session. And I would like to point out that this is my first video lecture, meaning a lecture that I hope to record for people out there to watch, and I hope inshallah it will be beneficial and so on. So this is the Way of Thinking course with Omar Abu Ammar. Now in this first video, what I intend to do is walk through the contents of the course, meaning the topics and matters we are going to touch, so that we highlight them. Inshallah, I will try to go through all of them and discuss vividly what the headings are all about. So I think we can move forward. And by the way, before going forward, I'll try my best to make it as simple as possible, to keep it simple, because the intention, the target audience is everyone. Everyone is part of the target audience. So I want the list of laymen to understand the course, meaning even 6-7-year-old children that that might be listening to the course, that might want to follow, because I feel and believe that it's important and essential for every single person to understand what thinking is, and that's why I actually named it the Way of Thinking. And it's also the name of a scholar I admire, Sheikh Muhammad Hussein Abdullah, who wrote a book. He's the author of various important books of Islamic culture, but he wrote a book by the name of The Way of Thinking, and I will inshallah try to remember to include the link to download the book in the video in the description of this video, inshallah. And so it's worth a read. And he also authored books like Al-Wadih fi Usul al-Fiqh, the clear principles of Usul al-Fiqh, and other materials. So the point is, but I should clarify that these video sessions will not be an explanation of that book. I just named the course after that book, but essentially we will be touching some topics that he touched that were treated in that book, but not essentially the same, not generally, but generally the same. So the Way of Thinking, and so inshallah. So yeah, we'll move next. Yeah. So first I've divided this course into sections. this is in order to make it easier for me and for the followers to go through, and so that we touch things I find things that will help us connect and link the concepts we discuss. And I should also point out that these topics were laid out by me, myself, and I alone, meaning there is a strong possibility that I might have missed something. So kindly let me know in the comment section if there is anything you think I should have added to the topic, and inshallah I will try my best to see that it's added and discussed as well. And if I actually considered it but left it out, then I'll explain why I left it out. But I believe that some of the viewers out there will find something off, inshallah. So this is in the first section. Section 1 discusses nature, the nature of the human being, and the nature, in other words, in the common terminology, can be called the vital energy, because since we are discussing thinking, way of thinking, and we know that only humans think, then it's essential we understand human nature. How does it relate to the way we think? How does it affect our thinking? And under this, we'll discuss the organic needs and the instinctual needs, which are the two aspects of human nature, of the two aspects of the vital energy. And under instinctual needs, we'll discuss the three main instincts. We'll discuss the reproductive instinct, we'll discuss the survival instinct, and we'll also discuss the sanctification instinct. And in the second section, section 2, we'll dig down, we will jump into the main topics, the main subject of discussion, which is thinking. So we'll go through what is thinking, why do we think, in other words, why do we need to think, uniqueness of the human in relation to other beings, what makes the human unique, why is it that humans are the ones ruling the world and making use of, for example, animals as food or means of transportations. And we'll also discuss the levels of thinking amongst humans. And here I've actually listed them: shallow or narrow thinking. Although there's a big difference between the shallow and narrow thinking, but we'll point that out and explain them, inshallah. And then we'll discuss deep thinking. Then there's the deep enlightened thinking. And we'll also discuss, can we be enlightened and wrong? And this is in order to clarify to clarify what makes a way of thinking correct and what makes it wrong. So that's why we'll be going through that. And then also under section 2, which is thinking, we'll discuss the basis of thinking. So we should differentiate between the levels of thinking. The levels meaning the ranking of thinking, meaning when you have shallow, a deep thinker is definitely higher than the shallow thinker, and deep enlightened thinker is higher in level of thinking in relation to the deep thinker and the shallow thinker. But what makes one shallow, and what makes one deep, and what makes one enlightened, we'll discuss that, inshallah. So as for the basis of thinking, we're discussing the foundation upon which one's thought is built. So first we will discuss the rational basis, then the scientific basis or the philosophical basis. Although I do have reservation about discussing the philosophical basis, so there's a possibility I might not discuss it as a categorical basis of thinking. Rather, I might be discussing it as a rational basis. Under the rational or scientific basis of thinking. Meaning, I will most likely just bring it up when discussing the rational basis or the scientific basis, one of two. And then there's the types or branches of thinking also. So we have the literal thinking, jurisprudential thinking, intellectual thinking, and political thinking. I will discuss where they fall and their level, which one is more important, and what's needed for one to qualify as a literal thinker, or as a jurisprudential thinker, or as an intellectual thinker, or as a political thinker. And also, under thinking, there are the false branches of thinking, meaning branches that some matters that some people think based on. So there's the racial basis of thinking and the gender basis of thinking. So are they false, or can they be true in some instances? We'll discuss that, inshallah. And then we come to the most important, more like the main reason we're actually discussing this, worldview. We'll discuss what is a worldview, and we'll discuss forming a worldview. We'll discuss the three worldviews and their doctrines, aqaid, aqaid in Arabic, excuse me. So we'll discuss these three, which are Islam, secular capitalism, and communism, and the reason why we'll be discussing only these three, or the reason why I find it more convincing that only these three qualify as worldviews. In other words, Weltanschauung. It's because they are comprehensive ideas about everything man can sense and every question that man can ask. In other words, they answered any possible question that one has, but they answered in different ways. So we'll discuss them, and we will discuss their nature and their differences and what they are based on. And then I think this is the final part of this section, which is actually the main section. We'll discuss the influence of the instincts on the worldviews, that we just mentioned. So we'll find that Islam is based on the sanctification instinct, and capitalism is based on the survival instinct. Communism is also based on the survival instinct. This brings up the question of why was none of the ideologies built upon the reproductive instinct, which is the second to the last section. In essence, why is it that of the three instincts, sanctification, survival, and reproductive, none of the ideologies was built on the reproductive instinct? We'll discuss that, bi'idhnillah. And then finally we'll discuss the superiority of the Islamic ideology. Now, my intention for this course is for anyone, regardless of his worldview or belief, to participate or view or go through these video sessions. So in these video sessions, of course, the topics are the highlighted topics here will be based on the opinion I find to be correct, meaning on the things that I have to chip an opinion on. So I'm open for it for debates on anything you find wrong or disagree with. So, for example, here I said the superiority of the Islamic civilization. Although I might change this to be which of the ideologies or maybe the worldviews is more superior. Regardless, I'll be pointing out that why is it that Islamic ideology is superior to capitalism and communism, and anyone that finds capitalism or communism, either of capitalism or communism, to be superior, can also change his ideas, and we can discuss it and so on. So these are topics and subtopics that we will be going through and starting from the next video. So in essence, this is an introductory video. So I wanted to also point out why do I find this course important, because I remember asking for opinions on what topics should I give talks on, and lots of people excuse me, sorry, lots of people give different opinions, advice, suggestions, and what I should read. Some say Arabic, some say thinking, some say soul fiqh, some say fiqh, politics, economics, etc. But I find it more important and something that we need more to understand. Why is it that we need the importance of thinking and understanding the way of thinking? I could have easily named this lecture as thinking, but I decided to name it the way of thinking. So here I want to introduce the way. That's why I said introducing the way. In this picture, this is actually a famous picture, and this is the poster of a video session I once gave, something similar like this, but it was a single video which turns out to be a disaster. So the video session says, "Why the Diverse World Views," by Umar Abu Ammar bin Ahmad, which is me, by the way. So in this picture, when you look closely, you find out the person by your left sees the number on the floor as 6, and the person by your right sees it as 9. And many people use this picture to indicate that despite us having opposing views, doesn't mean any of our views is wrong, that there's a possibility that both different views are correct. So I want to prove that that's a wrong understanding. Yes, because of the way people view things differently, because of the divergent world views, you find that people see things because people see things from different perspectives. There's a possibility that when you're standing on this position, you see things, you see something to be right, for example, and something to be, the other person sees it wrong. And that's only natural and normal when we have a different understanding of reality, when the explanations we have for the important questions about life differ. But what I want to show here in this course of the way of thinking is, how do we know which opinion, which position is correct? Because two opposing or more opposing opinions cannot all of them cannot be correct. One of them has to be the correct opinion, because this can only be understood when we agree, when we point out the basis upon which our understanding is based. So I'm not condemning this picture. In some instances, in some circumstances, the message that this picture sends can be correct, but the reality is this. The reality is that yes, people see things differently from different perspectives, and the reason they see them as such is simply because they have different explanations to these problems, to world problems. That's why we have world views. However, some of these views are amongst these views, some are one of them is correct and the rest are wrong. That's just the way it is. As long as the way you view them, the perspective for the angle from which you view them is the basis, the foundation is completely wrong. So here I'm not saying okay, maybe one is an Orthodox and maybe the Christian, the Orthodox Christianity, or Protestant, or and so on, so they will see things differently. No, those two have the same belief and basis. So there's will be a possibility that in that religion, in Christianity, they would say that they have difference of opinion, and both are valid opinion. The same way in Islam, you'll find that there are differences of opinion regarding matters. And we say that these opinions are all valid, despite the fact that you might say that the opinion is weak. So, but this is not the case. I'm trying to discuss the very basis upon which one builds his life upon, meaning the basis upon which doctrines, creeds, and beliefs are established. So these are the main points that we'll discuss in this topic, and thank you for visiting this channel and watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.